Right. And rather than competing in some markets that are really crowded, the bourbon market, the whiskey market, the vodka market, we've chosen to carve out a path that's decidedly different. And so, while we compete with those other spirits in terms of getting shelf space in bars or restaurants or people's liquor cabinets, we also know we're doing something very different. And there are some people making phenomenal bourbons, and that's not something we're aspiring to right now. But we are aspiring to making the very best craft spirits that we can using honey and other locally sourced ingredients from the Catskills.
Welcome to Inside the Line, the Catskills. This episode is brought to you by Scenic Route Guiding. If you're ready to hit the trails, make sure you take the scenic route. Our guides are here to help you with your goals, big or small. Check out the Scenic Route Guiding and Gear Rentals on Instagram and Facebook for more information. Also, if you mention the podcast, you can get 10% off. Use the code Mountain Lion. Mountain Lion. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 20 of Inside the Line, the Catskills. I'm here with some friends, RevSpirits, alcohol spirits. I'm not too familiar with spirits, so they're gonna explain some stuff. I bought some the other night, and it is delicious. So they're gonna explain their spirits, what they go through, the process. They're making it with bees and honey and stuff like that. It's delicious. It's fun. I can't wait to hear their process. It's gonna be great. Well, say hello, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Evening.
Greetings.
Excellent. So it's Phil, and then it was Bill, and then Carl. So glad you guys can join me. I'd like to thank monthly subscribers Katrina Weinig, Darren White, John Kaminsky, and Vicky F. Thank you very much for being monthly subscribers. Awesome. I'd also like to give a big thank you to Abandoned Hard Cider for donating 10 coffees. Thank you very much, guys. I can't wait to try your cider. If you guys ever try it, we got some in Oneana. I believe it's Green Earth or the liquor store, so I'm going to try them. And Chuck O'Dale for donating 5 coffees. Chuck, once again, thank you for being with me 2 episodes ago with the Panther Mountain meteorite crash. Awesome impact. Really cool info on Panther Mountain, and I'm actually going to try to get more geological information on that one and check it out later and do a little bit more deep diving on Panther Mountain. So, of course, my first question, hopefully you're drinking your own spirits. So you guys drinking anything tonight?
Oh, I never drink when I do these things.
It gets you more personal. Come on.
No, I'm drinking.
Excellent. What are you drinking?
Oh, I just poured a little bit of red wine. Wasn't drinking our stuff. I like to do that in a more celebratory fashion with my partners.
Excellent. Carl, how about you?
Well, I was doing the dishes tonight and speculating on what cocktail to stir up, and my wife volunteered to make one of her famous Manhattans. We use 13th Moon. It's 13th Moon vermouth, a few dashes of bitters, and a delicious maraschino cherry. So, cheers.
Excellent. And Bill, how about you, sir?
I have been experimenting with cocktails because it's pretty cold, and what else do you do when it's cold? You can't get outside. So I made what's called the flannel. It's 13th Moon. It's a allspice dram, which I made with honeymoon. It took me about 2 weeks to make it. It's delicious. It contains orange juice and a little bit of apple cider syrup, shaken and
not stirred.
Not stirred. Delicious.
And you're wearing flannel, which is some bonus points.
Exactly. So it all ties together in the winter times. Excellent. Well, it sounds great. I am having 13th Moon with ginger ale. That's about it. I am just a simple kind of guy, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Well, I'll tell you, Stosh, that I often liken 13th Moon to cognac or brandy, based on the way it's made. And cognac and ginger ale is a very big drink over in France. So
excellent.
You got it. You nailed it.
Hey, I'm enjoying it. And also ginger ale is good for your stomach. So I need that stuff when I'm getting older. Excellent. So I'm glad to have you guys here. I'm glad you're having something to drink. Most of the people that I interview don't have something to drink, or when they do, it's like a little tiny sip. So I don't know if any of you guys hike at all, but any of you guys been on any previous hikes, or at least walking around the good old Catskills?
In our younger days, we did a lot of hiking. In fact, I think it was last year, Carl, we took the Boy Scouts of Jefferson. Went to the Adirondacks, went to the Cedar River Flow. No, I'm sorry. We went to the
Buttermilk Falls.
Buttermilk Falls, and we camped at the lean-to there, and we did a fire tower, and it was a wonderful trip.
Yeah, Adirondacks or something else. Oh man, I got to get up there. It's just
One of my favorite stops is that Owlhead Lookout in Keene.
oh yeah.
Short hike, but great bang for the buck in terms of just the views, the vistas. It's incredible. That was probably too many years ago.
Yeah, it's we went up there a couple of years ago and we did Mount Van Hoevenberg. Phenomenal, easy hike with an overview of the Great Range. Oh, it was beautiful. And Goodnow Mountain fire tower, absolutely stunning. We went there at the perfect time when rain was like coming in, going over the Great Range, and just blown away. I wish the Adirondacks weren't 4.5 hours away. It's definitely a beautiful place, but the Catskills are right here. So we got everything we need.
Bill, what was the hike we did in the Catskills with the Scouts a few years ago? We accessed down below like Grand Gorge or Prattsville. Do you remember?
There's Minekill Falls down there.
No, the other way, like out toward, I can't think of the name of the place. It was a great walk.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was part of the
Is it part of the Long Trail?
no.
Oh, there's so much over there.
The railroad trail?
Oh, the rail trail. You said Grand Gorge. That is what is it called? Catskill Scenic Trail?
Yeah, no, I think it was actually closer to Prattsville.
Interesting.
We'll think about it.
Yeah, definitely. There's
It just shows you there's so many places to hike around here.
Oh yeah. It's absolutely phenomenal, especially like a little tiny walk with no elevation gain is all over the place. So if you need something easy to do, it's right there. Excellent. So Catskill news. Since this is going to be airing in a couple weeks, just everyone, hikers, bring your snowshoes and your spikes, please. I don't know if this is airing the 31st. There's 2 weeks ago happened some good snowfall amounts. We got in Oneonta, we got 6 inches. I heard up in the Catskills 14, 12, 10. So winter is finally here. Thank Mother Nature. It's been an odd winter.
Well, it's been pretty cold.
The cold is good. I can withstand the cold and stuff. It's just the weird, 30 to 50, you go out with a sweater, you get out of work and all of a sudden it's sunny and 50 degrees. It's just odd in the winter up here.
Yeah.
But it's not fun. But I'm a winter guy. This funny thing is I used to hate winter here. Used to absolutely hate winters. I look back on my Facebook memories and you'll see some of my memories saying like, why the hell is it snowing again? I want to go back to Arizona. And now I'm like, please bring the snow. I'm like, it's so weird, but excellent. So let's go into some Catskill Mountain history, guys. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Can't wait.
Catskill Mountain history tonight is about the Great Overlook Hotel. If you've been up Overlook Mountain, you could definitely notice the hotel ruins. Beautiful spot. Check it out. So this is a little background on the Overlook Hotel. Providing the Catskill Mountain House, which is over by South Mountain on the Escarpment Trail with its great first rival, the Overlook Mountain House, with a capacity for 300 guests, opened in 1871 on a peak outside town of Woodstock, which is now known as Overlook Mountain. Described by travel writer T. Morris Longstreth, the Overlook's house view afforded the following. In summer, except on rare days, blue haze narrows the spectacle to a radius of 50 miles. In clear atmosphere of winter, it is very impressive. The Ashokan, the Hudson, the Highlands and 7 states, the vast shoulder of earth, soar away from one. At last, the earth is partially appreciable. It may not seem a sphere, but so much is it seen that you are on earth. That is an extraordinary feeling. At 2,290 feet, the overlook stood higher than the Mountain House or any other Catskills hotel before or after. And in one widely covered news event in July 1873, management rejoiced when it rolled out the red carpet for Ulysses S. Grant during the first term as president. As Alf Revers, who was a great Catskill historian, related the story, Grant, no stranger to imbibing, emptied bottle after bottle as he sped towards the summit of Overlook Mountain behind relays of fast horses. Once the commander-in-chief reached the hotel, said one Woodstock old-timer, they had to pour him into bed. I guarantee he was having some good stuff. I could imagine what they had back in the back in 1800s, late 1800s.
Arrow proof.
Yeah, right. This had to be proof stuff that would knock you out. By the following morning, he was clearly feeling none the worse for it because the New York Times reported after breakfast, the ladies and gentlemen at the hotel put on fatigue suits and took large staves and escorted the president party up the mountainside. During the ascent, which was led by General Grant and two little girls, the guests sang war choruses and patriotic songs. 2 years after Grant's historic event in 1875, fire overtook the Overlook, just as many of the wood frame hotels in the era. By the time it was rebuilt and reopened in 1878, the other hotels catering to the well-to-do were also successfully operating in and around Catskill towns served by the Great Ulster and Delaware Railroad. So a little bit of short history on the Overlook Hotel. Nothing huge, but if you've ever hiked up there, you can't miss the Overlook Hotel. It's something you have to see. Hopefully you guys have been there.
I haven't been there, no.
Oh,
Whoops. I'll have to change that.
It's okay. It's a very easy hike. Unforgettable. Fire tower, it looks like a road all the way up. If you ever done Mount Luciantha,
Yeah.
just like that.
Okay.
Gotcha. Nice.
Exactly like that. Check it out. The ruins are still there. Basically, big 3-story concrete building is still there. And then you get, to me, is the greatest view of the Catskills up top. You get a good look at Indian Head. You get a good look at Burroughs Range. You get an amazing look of the Hudson Valley and the Ashokan Reservoir. It is unbeatable, but hopefully you all enjoyed that little tiny snippet of Catskill Mountain history. I got to get bigger. I got like 4 or 5 books I got to read on Catskill Mountain history. It is, I don't know if you guys know any of it, but it's absolutely insane what the history we'd had here in the Catskill Mountains. A lot of alcohol, a lot of tanning, a lot of bluestone, but it's awesome. So let's get on to our guest of the night, Bill, Carl, and Phil from RevSpirits. I met Bill and Phil in Stanford on our way home from a hike from Wyndham High Peak. I forgot what the event was called, but it had local vendors in the town of Stanford, which is an amazing town. Please visit it. It doesn't matter if you're down in Hunter or staying down in Hunter, go visit Stanford. It's a gem, awesome gem. But we met at a local vendor event, and I had a sip of one of their spirits. At the time, it was a little hard for me, but you learn as you go. And I mixed it with some ginger ale tonight. And last night I had some Sprite, and it's absolutely delicious. My wife even loves it. But we're going to get into their process, where they sell it and other things like that. And one of the great things is their process is using delicious honey and the bees, which are very essential to life here on planet Earth. So we'll go one by one. Phil, introduce yourself, sir.
Okay, sure. I'm Phil Potak. I'm a beekeeper, billionaire beekeepers, and Carl is the one who brought the widest range of bourbons that we ever saw in our lives into us. And so obviously you all realize we're into spirits, but starts with the bees and then goes to mead, and then we get on to spirits. But I'm just one of 3, so I'll let the next guy go, and then we'll put it all together.
So Mr. Mumanthe or Carl, which it's so odd to say. Mr. Carl was once my high school teacher, so it's really hard to say Carl. So Mr. Mumanthe, Carl.
Yeah, no, you're getting much better at it. And I have to tell you, just as you were going through that history of the Overlook, I was reminiscing of our days in 10th grade English and Julius Caesar and all of the great writers and thinkers. And I have to tell you, there was quite a bit of satisfaction in listening to you tell that story at the top of the podcast. So thanks. Carl Mummatham in Cobleskill, lived in Jefferson for many years, grew up there and lived there during part of my career. Work in the public school system, but like Phil said, have a real love for craft spirits and particularly barrel-aged and brown spirits. And it was on a trip about 11 years ago down to Kentucky as I visited some of the great distilleries producing bourbon down there that on the flight home, I said to my wife, someday I'd like to be involved in making some great craft spirits. And before long, Bill, Phil, and I all decided that we shared that goal in life. And that was really the birth of RevSpirits, is the three of us deciding that there were great spirits to be made in the Catskills. So couldn't ask for better partners, couldn't ask for a better place to be producing our spirits. And really appreciate being here with you tonight. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. And also he did a lot of lying. I did not read Julius Caesar back then. I only know him from some movies and stuff like that.
Tu Brute, you were all over it, Stash.
I sure hope so. I hope he's not lying, but I don't remember my high school days. It's not like I was an alcoholic or a drug guy, but I just don't remember my days. I've had too many good days nowadays. So let's go next to Bill from RevSpirits. Introduce yourself, sir.
Well, as Phil said, I am a beekeeper, and as a beekeeper, you generate a lot of honey, and we have a pasture-raised farm business as well as RevSpirits, and you can only really sell so many 1 pound jars. And so I was like, what can we do with this honey? And I said, well, let's make mead. I've made some pretty good mead over the years. And little by little, my basement became filled with bottles of mead and kegs of mead. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all this mead? And I believe it was Carl said, what if we distilled it? And that kind of was like, it was just a comment that ended up being a business that we all are doing, really enjoy. And it's all honey, water, and yeast. It's a wonderful thing.
Excellent. So I'm going to do an office quote. I don't know if you guys know The Office, but explain this to me like I was 5. What is mead and what does spirits mean? I'm not a big kind of guy. So what's mead mean, Phil or Bill?
So mead is basically honey, water, and yeast.
It's honey wine.
You're making a wine, and a lot of people call mead honey wine. The official category is mead, but it's really honey, water, and yeast. And to that, you can add spices, you can add fruits, you can add all kinds of things to create different kinds of mead. What we do is we just use honey, water, and yeast. It creates a wine, a high alcohol wine, which we then take and distill. So an analogy would be from grapes, you get wine. From wine, you get cognac.
Interesting.
Distill it. So what we do is we take honey and make wine or mead, and then we distill the mead to make our spirits.
Excellent. Amazing. So where you guys are located in Jefferson, correct?
Yes.
If y'all don't know where Jefferson is, it's in the northern Catskills, Greene County, I believe, right?
Schoharie.
Oh, Schoharie County, even right above Greene County, Schoharie County, with the great Schoharie River pours down into the Schoharie Reservoir, which is huge for New York City. So excellent. So you guys are up there in the middle of nowhere with beautiful scenery, just like me. So how did you guys? I know you kind of briefly stated how you guys got started with each other, but how did you? Of course, Phil and Bill was with the honeybees, but how did you get with Carl and you guys hook up and do this stuff?
Carl, you want to take it?
Well, I think Bill and Phil were making honey, making mead, and I think actually had experimented with some really cool distillations of mead. And it was about at that same time that I had approached Bill and then Bill and Phil and floated this idea of having a distillery in Schoharie County. At the time, it was a pretty novel idea. We looked at a couple of different pathways. While I originally had a pretty heavy interest in bourbon, I think Phil and Bill taught me the wonders of honey and what a terrific sugar source it is for spirit making. And, I think they can talk with you a bit about why we've chosen to pursue that in all of our products, and what is it about honey that makes it such a delicious and very drinkable spirit.
Very drinkable is correct. Trust me. Yeah. Phil or Bill, go ahead.
Well, what I would say is that when Billy was talking about the different kinds of meads and how it can have different flavors, it also can have, it can go from very dry. We like dry wines, and it can go from a very dry wine to like a dessert, really ice wine, very, very sweet. So there's a gamut that you can, of like taste that you can have aside from everything that you put into it. But when you just break it down to the bare minimum, as Billy said, of water, yeast, and honey, and then, so the first product that comes out, everything that you distill at first comes out clear. As they say, it all starts as vodka, is it what some people call it. Technically, that's not true, but that gives you the idea. And so then we experiment with a number of different barrels to find out what we really like. We work with Adirondack Barrel Cooperage out of Remsen, north of Utica. An amazing cooperage, amazing people, great pride in what they do, a fabulous product. And it's a huge part of what, as you may recall, the first product that comes out, we call Honeymoon. It's clear, 80 proof. It can be likened to a clear brandy, to some a high-end vodka. Technically, neither of those. But then we take that same product and we put it in an oak barrel for a minimum of 13 full moons, or a year, generally speaking, as a minimum. And so Honeymoon becomes 13th moon, and then it takes on all the flavors that you normally associate with barreled, or as Carl referred to it before, the darker spirit. And they're only dark without adding food coloring because of a charred barrel. In our case, medium charred barrel. And then all the flavors, that are imparted from the oak itself, from the charcoal, the char burn oak, that all gets soaked up into the spirit. And depending on how long you keep it, it affects the color, it affects the change. And so I have to tell you, Stosh, how much fun we've had. Like, all right, let's taste it at this month. Let's taste it at this month, and really we're critical about our cuts. And when I say cuts, there's three parts to a distillation. There's the heads, the hearts, and the tails. The heads are poisonous. And I think that the old bathtub gin made people go blind and die. That's from the heads.
We didn't share any of that with you, Stosh. You can keep drinking with confidence.
The hearts is really what you aim for. There's good stuff in the tails too, but we're very particular about our cuts. And so, and again, as I tell people, we're so small, we make craft distillers look big. But
Interesting.
Where we want to be right now, I mean, there's always room for growth, and we're always working on new ideas and new products and things like that. But it's exciting to use like the best, most natural sugar source, being honey. And all of it is sort of an ode to the bees. And I mean, 1/3 of every spoon that we eat in this whole country is somehow related to a bee pollinating something. So we're really cognizant of the important role that bees play in our society and our menus. Now it's someone else's turn.
Excellent. So basically, we're talking about how you guys got started. So I'm guessing you two being beekeepers, you just had that pursuing of making honey, and like you said earlier, you can only sell so many. What is it? How many 1 ounce jars, or like 10 ounce jars?
A pound
of jars. So you can only do that. And why not expand further to distilling, which is absolutely amazing. I've recently, I wouldn't say got an interest, but a lot of my friends have been beekeepers, and I'm fascinated by the bees, by the whole queen and how they protect her and stuff like that. How the queen can be transported, and all of a sudden all those bees go to that hive. It's absolutely fascinating.
Stosh, one of the things about honey that's interesting, and one of the reasons that the market isn't dominated by more people distilling with honey is a super expensive sugar source. And, there are a lot of people that will ask the question, well, why are you using honey when you can distill from grains, or you can distill from potatoes, or you can distill from corn? And the answer is it really has a flavor profile unlike anything else. And so we think there's value in distilling from honey. And we think that the people who purchase our products and enjoy our products appreciate that value.
Oh yeah. I seriously am so excited to get more of this. I think I put a little bit too much into these. So, but that's me. I like to overdo it, but I like to taste the alcohol a little bit more than other people do. I'm just like, I can taste that a little bit, but I want more. So I definitely enjoy it. And I definitely enjoy honey. I could take honey and eat that by the handful if I could. And just, it's delicious stuff. I love honey. So, I know it, like you said, it's not vodka and it's not this and that. So I'm not familiar with spirits. So explain to me what spirits are and, what kind of taste each one of your spirits has. I'm so unfamiliar with spirits. So like I was looking on your website and I was trying to think before I read different stuff about spirits and about your products, what you can mix it with. And I was just like, is this rum? Is this vodka? Is this blah, blah, blah? But that's me because I'm very uneducated. So tell me about it.
Spirits there's really no classification for spirits. We would love to have one you have vodka, you have gin, you have brandy, you have whiskey. There's nothing for some things that are made from honey. We're hoping that SOMEL, SOMEL, which means only honey in Latin, will become another category. So when you walk into a liquor store, you can say, hey, I need a bottle of SOMEL, nice. and they're going to help you out. Our product is as any other spirit. Like our clear spirit is like, say, a vodka that you would, if you wanted to have a vodka to make a vodka tonic or screwdriver Bloody Mary with, you could take our product and use that the same way. We can't call it a vodka. It's not a vodka. It's more than a vodka, but it's along those same lines as our spirit. Our age, 13th moon. You can use it in the same way as you would a cognac. In fact, the flannel, which I'm drinking tonight, was a cognac recipe that I substituted 13th moon with. It's delicious. There's a Sazerac, which is out of another delicious cocktail that uses cognac, which substitute 13th moon, and it does an amazing job with it. You could also use a whiskey or a bourbon substitution. There is no. When people ask us about what kind of spirit we have, it's unique. It's its own thing, and you really needed to try it. And you can substitute it any way you want. There's no rules on how to use it. And if you have an inclination of how it might taste, like putting with ginger ale, then that's what you do. And if you enjoy it, then that's what we want.
Yeah, we've learned a long time ago that how we drink our spirits or how we drink spirits in general aren't necessarily the same ways that our customers do. And everybody's palate is different. Everybody's seasonal preferences for beverages are different. And so we try to let people know that we have some really versatile products that will probably be a staple in their liquor cabinets.
Exactly. That's perfect.
And Stosh, getting back to your, the whole discussion about the Catskills and picking up on what Carl said, not only do we think that we have products, and we haven't even spoken about Conundrum yet, which is the third spirit that we have. We'll talk about that in a sec, but not just a craft spirit, but maybe a craft spirit that there's a little bit of extra pride because you're from the Catskills or you visited or you have childhood memories. And, so it's to us, it's a special thing. I mean, we could have gone, as we said, we could have gone to corn or grains or something else. I mean, they make spirits from sugar and water, but, so, taking the local flora with our bees and turning that into a spirit that people can enjoy in any fashion they want is really kind of, it makes us all smile when people come back and say, oh, I had this cocktail, I had this at this restaurant. And, it brings genuine joy, to us that like, oh, we can't, we created this, it's fun.
Right. And rather than competing in some markets that are really crowded, the bourbon market, the whiskey market, the vodka market, we've chosen to carve out a path that's decidedly different. And so, while we compete with those other spirits in terms of getting shelf space in bars or restaurants or people's liquor cabinets, we also know we're doing something very different. And there are some people making phenomenal bourbons, and that's not something we're aspiring to right now. But we are aspiring to making the very best craft spirits that we can using honey and other locally sourced ingredients from the Catskills.
Excellent. And the Catskills is an excellent choice, as it being, I would say, so diverse. One end, like Schoharie end, has amazing farming and areas, farming old plowed areas. And then you got the middle Catskills, the central Catskills, which is full of trees. So it's full of life. It's full of wildlife and insects and everything like that. So excellent. I'm glad you guys are kicking some ass in the Catskills. Let's just say that. Doing this in the Catskills. So let's talk about your spirits and how they're made. So I know you got 3 spirits. I'm excited to hear about this. So how about we go with the one that I had today, 13th Moon. That's you kind of explained that earlier.
So again, when we'll fill up a still with mead, and we pull all the alcohol out of that by heating it up. Alcohol will boil at a lower temperature than water does. So the alcohol boils off and steams off, and it goes through a condenser, cools down, drips out pure alcohol. Okay, so we're pulling the alcohol out of a large amount of mead, a large amount of honey wine mead, and then turning that into a high proof, clear spirit. And so we take that, and then it rests. There's a process that goes on where it rests and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately we proof it down because it's close to, let's say 180 proof. So it's pretty undrinkable. And we bring that down. I mean, it can't go into a barrel legally above 125 proof. So we bring it down to, what we think is a reasonable proof. And that's another thing that's part of, the nuance of creating a spirit is where, you put it in the barrel, at what proof you put it in the barrel. So ours could be anywhere from 100 to 115. It depends on a number of factors. So anyway, we take that clear stuff, we put it in a barrel for, as I say, a minimum of 13 full moons, or what is practicable for us to then take it out. And, along the way towards the end, we're tasting it and looking at the color and, understanding the profile. And then when it's ready, it gets filtered and put into bottles, and everything is hand done. Every label is put on by hand. Everything is written down, by hand. It's labor intensive at times, but that's how we make 13th Moon.
Excellent. I enjoy it thoroughly, so I can't wait to get the other ones. What's the next one we're going to talk about?
Billy, tell them about Conundrum.
Conundrum. So we have a local grower in Schoharie County called Tony Van Glad, who kind of invented a sorghum squishing machine that he grows sorghum in Blenheim, New York. And
wait, let's back up. Do you know what sorghum is, Stosh?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I have a feeling we might have to back up a little bit. So let's start with that, Bill.
So sorghum is basically it's a grain that looks like a stalk of corn, but doesn't have tassel, doesn't have the corn things to it, and it's high in sugar. So what Tony did was he planted the sorghum. He invented this machine that would cut it off. So you imagine driving through the machine through a cornfield, and this thing would cut the stalks off at the ground. It would feed them into a conveyor that would crush them and squeeze them, and the juice, which is this bright green juice, would fall into a tank underneath, and then the crushed and squeezed stalks would then exit the machine. So he would collect this green syrup, this green liquid from these stalks, and he would take it back to, he's a maple producer as well, so he would take these stalks back to this juice back to his farm and boil the juice in his evaporator, his sap evaporator. which would create something very, very similar to molasses. So it's very dark, it's very rich, it's very delicious.
Yeah.
So
It's big down south. They use sorghum syrup as a sweetener on a lot of the great things that they eat. You know, their pancakes, their buckwheat pancakes, their grits.
All kinds of baked goods. Yeah.
I have to look into this.
and there's to do this in New York State is crazy, and that's kind of Tony's a little crazy anyway. But he developed this whole thing. He's pretty famous. If you look at, he's famous for developing the machine that did all this thing.
Excellent.
And so he had this sorghum, and we were talking one day, why don't we use Tony's sorghum? I mean, how cool could that be? So we take Tony's sorghum, we mix it with our honey, we ferment it, we distill it, and then we age it in a used 13th moon barrel. So our barrels, we use the Adirondack Cooperage barrels for 2 times with the 13th moon, the ages to get the color and taste profile we want. And then we dump it, we put Conundrum, or this sorghum, distilled sorghum and honey, into those barrels. So it spends a year in a barrel and picking up more of that oak flavor. And then we take it, we put it in a New York State port wine barrel. And so we finish it in the wine barrel. It picks up all these complexities of the port and the oak. And it's a wonderful thing. Phil and I and Carl we're looking at maybe like, how can we make a rum, like New York State rum? We're New York State Farm Distillery. We have to use New York State Farm products. So how can we create something that's like a rum? And this was our attempt to do that.
Right, because sorghum syrup and molasses, which makes rum, or cane sugar, which is, they have very, very similar properties. And so, like, we wanted to, like, how can we make a rum without, like, breaking the rules,
Yeah.
So, and I wouldn't call it a rum because it's not rum, but there are times when it, like, has hints of, like, the essence of rum. It's another good thing with ginger ale. You'd like that with ginger ale too, I think. Yeah.
I'm a big rum guy. I mean, I've loved rum ever since, and I actually loved it even more when I went to Jamaica. Of course, Jamaica is full of rum.
So with the Conundrum stash, something that's really cool is many times when we're distilling, it picks up from the sorghum, I would assume, some tropical aromas. So we've had really strong banana smells and mango, and it's it's kind of unexplainable because none of that grows around here, but the sorghum and honey collide to produce a really cool aroma and flavor profile.
Awesome. That is incredible. See, that's what stinks is I went to the liquor store in Delhi and I didn't get to get this. They only had the 13th moon, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. So excellent. And what's the last one?
So the last is really the first. It's kind of our base spirit, honeymoon. We bottle it at 80 proof, but it begins just like most of our other products, honey, water, and yeast that's fermented and then distilled. It comes off the still at somewhere between 90 and 95% pure alcohol. And then we proof it down to 80 proof, bottle it, and our customers really enjoy it. It drinks like a clear brandy or a vodka. It's delicious neat in a glass or on ice, and it's really going to do anything that your favorite vodka does, only better because of the honey and the beets.
Yeah. So basically with the honey, it adds the sweetness. And that special.
There's no sweetness. There's really no sweetness. There, as Carl says, I mean, when you distill honey, there's a sweetness in the mead. When we make the mead, there's a sweetness there. When you distill that sweetness should not carry through into distill it. It should be a pure, clear alcohol distilled. And what Carl's comment is always, it carries the DNA of the honey. And people who drink our honeymoon say, I can taste the honey. And you shouldn't be able to, because you're distilling it off at like 180 degrees up to almost 210 degrees. And you shouldn't be able, the honey flavor should not be there. But the weird thing is I taste the honey too.
Yeah.
And you really shouldn't. You shouldn't be able to. But you do.
Ghost.
That's what
the honey ghost.
That's why I said that.
The honey ghost.
It's not just the taste or the sweetness, Tosh. It's almost a mouthfeel. Our honeymoon is the same proof as vodka, but it's got a softer mouthfeel. It's a little more subtle, a little more buttery, a little more smooth. And to Bill's point, I think that's that's something that honey contributes that grains or potatoes or other sugar sources cannot.
Awesome. That's like I said it has a sweet taste. It's not, that's crazy because I can taste the honey. Come on. It's crazy. That is so funny that you say that. So in a short, we kind of went over what the taste of each one. Let's go quick overview of the taste of like 13th Moon, Conundrum, and stuff like that. Can you explain that? Is that explainable?
Well, I would say for me, 13th Moon definitely has notes of caramel and vanilla. There's a woodiness to it from the oak. That's what I pull out. I know other people pull different, as Carl said there, and everyone's palate is different. Everyone tastes things differently, but those are some of the things that I definitely pull out of 13th Moon.
And next is Conundrum. What can you taste with that one?
Guys, help me out here.
Well, Conundrum,
it's a conundrum.
It's a conundrum. It's very delicious. It picks up all the oak characteristics, and it's a lot. It's different than 13th Moon.
Well, one of the things is, when we finish it in the New York State port wine barrel, and port wine, are you familiar with that, Stash? It's just it's a fortified wine on, sometimes it's sweeter than others, but there's a sweetness to it. So when we finish it for our Carpenter port wine, barrels from Orange County in New York, it brings on another element that is like completely, changes the game from 13th Moon. I mean, it's honey and sorghum syrup in a 13th Moon barrel. So it pulls out some of that. And then we finish it in the port wine barrel, and it's a whole new level of taste complexity. So I would say some people, and we've heard things across the board. Some people say, "Oh, this is sweet. I really can taste the port wine," and other people say, "Like this tastes like Scotch to me," which is like, I mean, like, okay, do you like Scotch? Oh yeah, well, we're aiming for that then. You know what I mean? So
Interesting.
It really depends on everyone's palate, but the port wine barrel definitely adds a dimension that's different than anything else that we do for sure.
Excellent. Wow. I gotta get these other ones, man. This is depressing that I only got this one.
So in the Conundrum, Stash, I mean, if you walk into a liquor store and say, I'd like a spirit distilled from sorghum and honey, they're going to look at you like you have 2 or 3 heads. So a lot of people, when they taste Conundrum, they're like, there's a whole lot going on here. Well, yeah, because people aren't using sorghum. Most people aren't using honey. And we're doing a double barrel aged process. So there's just a complexity to Conundrum that I think is unlike anything else on the market right now.
Interesting. What's the last one that we
Yeah, so Honeymoon is the last one. Again, it's a clear spirit. So by default, clear spirits are supposed to be as close to pure alcohol as one can reasonably get within the labeling guidelines. I think it's got a very soft, clean taste. Some people pick up citrus, some people pick up, lemon, but I really think it's just a soft, clean spirit taste. And, if I put it side by side with my favorite vodkas, it usually wins hands down.
Definitely gonna. Vodka is not my thing. It's a little too harsh for me, so I'm definitely gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, Honeymoon's a little softer, and I'll tell you, in the summer, a nice pour of Honeymoon with a cube of ice, swirl it a little bit, and it just opens up, and it's like nothing you've ever had.
Impressive.
Little twist of lemon, honey and lemon. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, honey, you can't go wrong. My God, God, my mouth is watering right now. I'm having one of the drinks, but my mouth is watering just thinking about the honey. All right. So, of course, this all comes from honey and bees. So they're a huge part of the ecosystem. Of course, we all know that they are keeping our planet alive, and we need more of them. Of course, we talk about like the bees. What got you into beekeeping? What got you into using honey to make your spirits?
Go ahead, Bill.
About 25 years ago, when I bought my house, it was a summer camp for people from Long Island and situation. But they had put a beehive in the wall of the kitchen, and it had a storm window. So you could take off the panels of the storm window and see the bees working inside the kitchen wall.
Wow.
And but there's a lot of moisture and things, so they had rotted out the whole sill of the back wall, and so I needed somebody to come in and take those out for me. I didn't know what, I wasn't a beekeeper at that point, and I found this guy, and he came in and he did it, and he said, "I need help. Will you help me?" So he dressed me. I had no idea what I was doing. He dressed me, and we went in and took this hive of bees out, and it was so cool. And I'm going, "Oh my God, I want to do this." And so the next year I bought a couple hives, and we've been having bees ever since. And then, Phil started soon after I did, and it's just I can't imagine our farm not having bees on it. It helps us so many ways. You stand underneath the apple trees in the spring, and the whole tree hums because of the bees, and it's just there's bees everywhere. It's just and the what they make, and it's so cool. The whole thing is just unbelievably cool. I mean, for a year I taught school, and we had bees at our campus at school, and I've turned so many kids on who were deathly afraid of bees when we started, who then are like installed nukes for us. I mean, it's just even the kids realize that they're gentle and they're not going to hurt you. And the only way I get stung is if I do something stupid, and it's my fault.
Yeah.
I got stung.
Yeah, excellent. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. It's almost like they installed their own like high school experiment in there, to watch the bees as they work, and then you fell in love with the bees when the guy was just like, help me. Amazing. That's so cool. And Phil, how did you get into beekeeping?
Well, I got into it, right after Bill did, and we were just talking about it, and we start suffering from allergies from quote hay fever or whatever, and you start, I've at least a spoonful of honey every single day of my life, and you build up what you have allergies from by eating the honey on your property, so that's one aspect of it. It's like if you get a burn, the best thing to do is put honey on it. Raw honey, always raw honey. Never put honey in the microwave. But I just am cognizant of how important a role it is. And as Billy said, it's like when you sit outside and just watch them work, and learn about, how everything is about the queen and how everyone has their role, and it's, and they have a lifespan of about a month. I mean, it's just an amazing thing to learn. Most of the bees are females, as you probably know. And so, the more you learn about it, one can't help but like sort of fall in love with this, this culture, this universe of bees. And so it just, and then you get to, harvest the honey at the end of the year, and turn all your friends on to raw honey from their backyard. And it just sort of built on itself in terms of excitement and, and the need for honeybees in our world, so it just sort of built on itself. And then all of a sudden, we were turned on to like making mead, and then we drank enough of that where we got the silly idea to distill,
Nice.
So yeah, it's just the importance of it and the fun of it.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, my friends have been beekeepers for a couple of years, and just going over there and just sitting there and watching them and hearing them, it's really neat. And then, you don't get to see very often the interior of a beehive, and watching that stuff, online, you're just like, wow, these things work really hard. And I never knew that they only lived for 30 days. That's incredible. That's insane.
Yeah. So they don't really want to sting you because they die when they do that.
Interesting.
They're not like wasps.
Yeah, wasps, little assholes.
So Phil talked about our operation being very small, and you're really looking at our entire team right here. But we do like to say that we have more employees than any other distillery in New York State, because the bees, hundreds of thousands of them, are producing honey for us every year.
Wow, that's a perfect way to say that. I gotta admit that you guys have the one of them.
I think I had 180,000 workers at my farm this year.
Wow, that is insane. Amazing. How many hives do you guys have? General, like roughly.
Well, we've downsized our hives, over the years because to be a true apiary beekeeper, you have to dedicate so much time to it, and the distillery takes enough time. So we're down to just probably under with the 3 locations, about 10 or so, I think, maybe. I don't remember exactly. So we buy local honey for the big stuff now, because we just can't we can't do both.
Yeah. Awesome. Amazing. That's so cool. So we just went over beekeeping. Do you guys, of course, do you guys collect bees? You know how like people looking to get rid of them? Do you guys like take them and go and take them away from like people's interior houses, or like maybe like other places?
We have, when we do sometimes. The problem is that we're not carpenters.
Okay.
And a lot of times they're in people's houses, and there's a major to extract them is a major, you're cutting away a lot of stuff of people's houses. And I leave that to people who can put it back together, because I can't put it back together. But like this summer, we were at a market, and I got a text from a guy saying there's a swarm of bees on the planter outside our store in downtown Stamford. And that was an easy one to get. I mean, yeah, we'll go get that one, and we'll collect swarms. But in terms of going into and taking apart houses and barns and things, it's again, as Phil said,
we did it one time. That was the last time.
As Phil said, we're focusing on distilling. We're not the beekeeper part of it. We can't. We do it because we like it, and we do enough of it for ourselves, and to make mead and things. But there's just not enough hours in the day to do all that.
Wow. So like the swarms are the ones that like form on the exterior places, right? Not the interior.
So if a beehive is crowded, the queen and a majority of the workers will leave and create a new hive somewhere else. So a swarm is they usually form on a branch, or in this case, they formed on a flower pot in downtown Stamford. And you can collect those and put them in boxes, and then create your own hives.
Oh wow!
So actually, I was in them today, and the swarm I collected from in downtown Stamford is still doing well.
Oh, good.
Awesome. So, what happens? I got a quick question that's not on the agenda. What happens in the winter? May I ask? I've always wondered this ever since I was a little kid.
Don't hibernate. So there's 10 frames in a box, and they're filled with honey. So they work themselves as a mass throughout that frame of boxes back and forth, and will eat the honey to stay alive. And then the cold ones come to the inside to warm up, and the outside ones, come out, and it's about 90 some degrees within the hive. So they generate their own heat.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so to sort of flap their, in this little, nest of bees, the outside bees are flapping their wings to create the heat, and the inside ones, are eating honey and protecting the queen, and then they rotate jobs, and they move around the hive, consuming the honey, and hopefully they're alive in the spring.
Gosh, bees don't poop in the winter.
Constipation in the winter, eh?
well, they hold it, because think about it. If you pooped in your hive, how it would infect, it wouldn't be sterile. So they hold it, and then we get, like, say in February, we get a January thaw, it might be 50 degrees. If you look out in the snow, it'll be covered with bee poop.
Oh, wow.
Because they go out, they fly, they poop, they come back in the hive.
I love this part of the discussion, Carl.
Hey,
Carl.
Yeah.
It's life. It's life.
Bill gets to tell that part of the story. Phil and I, we keep ourselves appropriately distanced from that.
I just think it's such a cool thing. I mean, I'm not going to poop because I'm not going to foul the place where we live. We raise our brood. We eat our honey. We're not going to poop there.
It's spoiled.
And yeah, well, and it's just another cool thing about bees that they,
as you say, you do not poop where you eat.
That's right.
Wow, unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I never knew that. So being like when they, how many, you say you have 180,000 workers. Do you lose? I'm guessing you lose a lot during the winter. How many do you think, like roughly estimating, how many do you think you have when the first thaw comes around?
Well, beehives in maximum, like usually about 60,000 bees in the summer in a hive. And as Phil said, they 30-day lifespan, but then there's different, it's kind of a crazy thing, but as you get closer to the winter, those bees that are born in the fall will last all winter long and make it through until the spring.
Interesting.
So there's obviously not a lot. I would say, I don't know, Phil, 20,000.
I was going to say 10, but yeah, it varies.
10. As your winter goes on, you're going to lose more and more. Obviously, there's bees dying from old age, really, as the winter goes on, hopefully. And then the rest that are left are going to be able to create a new colony of new brood and new young for the spring.
Wow. That is some cool stuff. So I know this is a very odd question and a very kind of, I don't know how to say it. Just a very odd question from, the ecosystem and from global warming and from climate control. Has this benefited you guys? And of course it hasn't with the bees, which we heard all around the world, but do you think the warming of the weather benefits you guys and benefits the bees a little bit, or no?
Personally, I don't think that the changes are beneficial. The sort of overriding climate changes are beneficial. If obviously bees do a lot better down in Georgia and South Carolina, whatever, when it's warm all year round, but like here, the great changes where like it's really, really cold and then all of a sudden it's warm. And there are times when if there's a warm spell in the middle of the winter, the bees are coming out all over looking for food because it's warm. The sun is on it and they're like looking for, and there's no food around. And so that's disruptive to the hive. So, I think great climate change isn't necessarily good. But if anyone's going to adapt, it's going to be bees,
Well, yeah, hearing about the way they kind of like recycle themselves in the winter, everybody has a role of keeping warm and then eating their honey, and then they all of a sudden they go out and protect, keep the others warm. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So correct about, how global warming and climate control is kind of disrupting them because they go out in the sun in the 50, 60 degree weather and think it's spring again. And then all of a sudden we have another freeze in 3 days. So it's just a question I had on my mind at the last second. So excellent. So cool. So we're winding down with this stuff. Where can we buy your products? Where can we also, I heard you guys have them at restaurants. So let's first go over where you can get them.
At the restaurants, the Mill Pond Inn in Jefferson serves cocktails with our spirits. Also Prospect Restaurant at Scribner Hollow Lodge in Hunter. They feature cocktails with our spirits. Those are the only two restaurants. And the liquor stores, we're down, at 5 o'clock somewhere in Stamford. We're at Woodbeck's and Cobleskill. We're in, Delhi and at Bottle Shop at Strickland. Thank you. Just Strickland Hollow Bottle Shop. We're in Andy's. We're in the Hunter Liquor Store. It's called Elevated. Yep, Elevated Wines and Spirits. Where else? What am I missing? I think that might be it, eh?
I think so.
So yeah, as we grow, we're looking to expand that. But at this point, because we're so small, we're trying to keep it to generally what's in our area in the Catskills around us. So we're able to, continuously, stock with whatever their needs are,
Continue the local love.
Yeah.
That's what's great. I didn't, when I asked in the email about where you can buy it, I only thought Stanford and Delhi, but that was the closest to me. I'm glad you're in Hunter and Andy's and stuff like that, so we can spread the love of your name over there. Good. And we want to go hiking in Hunter. I'll stop there too as well. Get like 5 bottles.
Yeah, and it's a great place to get cocktails too if you go to Scribner Hollow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Erica, once again, hopefully she listens to this. So Erica, that's awesome. I should have stopped. I don't think you were open on Tuesday though. So I could have stopped there. I definitely love to visit Erica because she has very good knowledge of the great alcohols and the great hard ciders and the local craft breweries that we have here. She definitely knows her stuff. So
Oh my God, between her and Jerry, I mean, there is a vast knowledge of many things between the two of them.
oh yeah, especially
Yeah.
cooking. Those guys are
He's a chef, he's a som,
Yeah.
he's a distiller. The two of them were like, they're a power pack of like talent and energy.
exactly. Yeah, excellent. So you guys got any plans for 2022?
So 2022 is a big year for RevSpirits. We're going to be doing a much more strategic introduction of our spirits in the capital region. So we'll be at farmers markets in Guilderland and in Washington Park in downtown Albany. So that's an exciting opportunity to introduce our spirits to some new places. And Phil and Bill can talk a bit more about the property that we have in Jefferson and our plans to develop that in the coming year. But that's something we've been working toward and we're really excited about.
Excellent.
So we own almost 10 acres of land right on Route 10, adjacent to the 13-sided barn in Jefferson. And we have plans. We're working right now on trying to we're looking for a builder who's going to get back to us hopefully soon to build a tasting room and distillery, providing with an outdoor space. We're very conscious about COVID and creating space where people can be outside and enjoy our cocktails and sit by the fire and have a great experience drinking spirits made from honey.
Awesome. That's that's great news, especially in the Capital District. They got a good a farmhouse spirit up there and great areas that they just sell local stuff. I know a friend that does some stuff over in Troy. I forgot what that place was called, but they definitely do some local stuff over there in Troy. And then down in Kingston is a big spot too. It's a hot spot for that stuff.
Yeah.
So
We're also working to get into the Cooperstown farmers market and down in Woodstock, Boyceville area, or Phoenicia, I should say. So we're trying to, branch out a little bit more in 2022.
that'll be great.
And we're really hoping that the development of our property, Stosh, makes it a destination that appeals to all ages. So folks can come for mead, they can come for spirits, they can learn about mead making and craft distilling, they can learn about bees, they can enjoy the beautiful mountain views, they can hike down to the creek. There's just going to be a tremendous amount of things for people to do and see as they visit the RevSpirits property that we're developing.
Excellent. You said you got 3 different places, or are you guys looking to make a central place, and then those are just areas that you distill?
Yeah, no, the 3 places we have bees on our property, and then at Bill's farm and at Phil's farm.
And then are you going to have like a special spot for like distribution on your own, or is that just like you're going to do it anywhere?
You mean beekeeping or
Well, yeah, of your distillery and stuff like that.
No, our plans is to have that one permanent location for a tasting room distillery, and that will be, that'll be the focus there. As Carl said, like, we hope to open it up to other things in terms of like looking at our bees and whatever, learning about bees, but we'll centralize at that location for the distillery and the meadery. Excellent.
Yeah, that'll be great, especially open that up along that Route 10 is a very nice area.
It'll also allow us to up our production. I mean, we've really maximized the footprint of our current distillery. We don't have a public facing storefront. We don't have a tasting room. And I think by developing this property, we can expand production. We can invite customers in to see how we produce the spirits and then to enjoy them inside or outside.
Phenomenal. Excellent. That's so cool. So I know I went to a local event in Stamford. Do you guys have any set events that you could say, any dates or anything like that? Or should I just leave that to Instagram and your regular webpage?
Well, I can tell you that we will be at Mill Pond does a farmer's market, the Mill Pond, in Jefferson. They're going to be doing one like the day before Valentine's Day. That weekend will also be back in Stamford. They're having another sort of Valentine holiday weekend market around town. What else, Billy? I know that we've got a few things already booked, but those are the two closest ones that I know of. Other than if Billy wants to chime in on something, I can't think of anything right now, but I know there are a number of them coming up, and some of them the dates haven't been finalized. So, Instagram and whatnot will be, and Facebook will be the place to find that too.
We're committed to bigger. We're trying to expand out a little bit, so we're looking at food and wine festivals in Syracuse, Albany, and Binghamton this early winter, spring. That we hope to like expose ourselves to other people, let them see what we're doing. But yet Instagram is definitely the way to follow us. We post on there a lot, and if you want to know where we're going to be, look at Instagram. And
if you want to replicate Bill's cocktail tonight, the recipe was posted.
Yes, I saw that. Where'd you guys get that cup? My wife was like, that cup is amazing. That cool, weird shaped cup.
There was a Christmas present from Carl.
You got to tell me where those things are, because those are sweet. If I get that for her, she'll love me.
That's important in life. So
yes, definitely. Well, that's amazing. That's great news. Branching out is definitely the way to go, because my wife and I went up to the Adirondack Wine and Food Festival. That introduced us to a lot of local wines and local products. Basically, we are doing like natural soap and shampoo now because of that Adirondack Wine and Food Festival. A lady from Kingston, so Sweet Aroma soaps. So she's all over the place in the Catskill. So that's good. And like you said, going down to Woodstock. Woodstock has an awesome, of course, farmers market down there. Yeah. Definitely.
So Stash, two of the blessings of the pandemic have been, one, while it limited some marketing opportunities early on, it gave us the opportunity to get a lot of our spirits into oak and aging. So we have a lot of spirits that will be coming out of barrels and into bottles here very soon. And that's been a nice side effect of the pandemic. And the other thing is it's really expanded our customer base and had people focus a lot more on where their food and beverages come from, had them place value on the importance of knowing the creators and the makers and the farmers. And it really brought an influx of people in from the metropolitan New York area and other areas to either introduce or reintroduce them to the beauty of the Catskills. And we just really appreciate all of our new and our loyal customers. And many of them were introduced to us because of this pandemic, where they came up here to seek refuge and discovered some great spirits along the way.
That's a great point. That has been, the pandemic once again is horrible, but you know what? A lot of people have expanded locally and noticed the local stuff. And it's horrible, but a lot of new things have been introduced to the Catskills, a lot of new products. A lot of people have been introduced to local products, and these local places are expanding. And what stinks, of course, is, the restaurants and stuff like that suffered a big hit. But hopefully they'll rebound from this. People from the city, once again, I'm always comparing what happened from the pandemic to the Borscht Belt era. We had that time of where people left the Catskills and were just like, oh, we can travel, we can do this. Pandemic has brought people back to the Catskills. We have now noticed more local places being, centralized, and Phoenicia and Andes and stuff like that growing, which is great. I mean, I love seeing that, and I love seeing the local towns blooming once again. I mean, it was a weird time when I would drive. I drive Catskills all the time. I drive everywhere. I would see abandoned houses all the time. For the past 6 years, I saw abandoned houses everywhere. These houses are being brought back to life.
There's a lot of lights on now that used to be dark, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I drive down through Delhi to Andes and stuff like that, and these houses are being rebuilt. I mean, I don't really agree with them buying them, flipping them, and sell them for 8 times the price, but something's going to happen to that. And maybe, a couple years from now, I'll be able to buy that house that's down there that looks really good. Get closer to the Catskills so I don't have to drive an hour and a half to hike. But excellent. So we're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to get out there and get more products. Maybe I got to go hiking this Sunday and go through Stanford somewhere. Go to Bear Pen Mountain, maybe hike up Bear Pen Mountain. Hopefully you guys have heard the story of Bear Pen. Have you?
Bear Pond?
Bear Pen Mountain, right outside of Prattsville. I'll have to introduce you guys. It used to be an old ski resort. So they had a big fallout with a local guy, and I'm going to be hopefully getting that guy who did a huge report on Bear Pen Mountain. Take a look at it. It's very cool stuff. So yeah, well, you guys got any special shout outs before we end the show?
I would just say, if I were to shout out, would be to Adirondack Bow Cooperage for the great job they do and how important that is to our final product. I'd shout out to Mill Pond Inn for carrying us and being the first to, we launched there in November of 2019. And I'd shout out to Scribner Hollow Lodge, because they make such great cocktails with our stuff. And as I said, Strickland Hollow and all the places that carry us, they're the ones that I mentioned before, the liquor stores and whatnot. So we're just appreciative of the support that we've gotten from them and the good response.
Carl?
Sorry, some great partners, early adopters, Stash. And like I said earlier, just our customers, people who are willing to break out of their habits and try craft spirits and meads from honey. And they have become very loyal customers, and we appreciate their purchases and we appreciate their friendship.
Perfect. Bill?
Bees?
I was waiting for that.
Let's shout out to the bees, because without the bees, we're nothing. I mean, you're not even talking to us. So the bees are important, and not just to make spirits, but to do everything else. As Phil mentioned, it provides food for all of us, and we need the bees, and I think people need to be aware of what they do. And I did a post earlier this week about how please look at things like herbicides and pesticides and neonicotinoids. Don't do those things. Dandelions are the best thing for bees. Like, leave dandelions in your yard. Kind of like your consciousness needs to be a little bit aware of what you do when you do it, how you're going to affect, especially things such as fragile as the bees. So, think about what you do before you do it.
Right. Even I have learned to appreciate the beauty of dandelions, and that's a tough one for me. I've got issues, but I let those dandelions grow because I know that they play an important role.
Great point. Yeah, my wife started growing a lot of flowers in the back, so hopefully we'll get that product going and the bees flying in the back there. So hopefully my dog won't get stung again, because that was pretty funny when my dog got stung by a bee. It was hilarious. She got looked like what's his name, Sylvester Stallone after a fight. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you too, Stash. I mean, thank you for having us on, and more importantly, thank you for sharing your love of the Catskills and promoting them, and encouraging people to enjoy the beauty and the businesses and the people of the Catskill Mountains. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to second that too. I mean, I learned from you tonight with the intro, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, these, I gotta admit, it's a very tight. I have tight friends, and I have a bunch of friends who has introduced me to a lot of new things in the Catskills, and the Catskills has introduced me to, once again, local life, the local love that we have here. And like I said, I was telling, I don't know if I was recording that, but years and years ago, I hated upstate New York. I hated the remoteness. I hated, I wanted to be in the city where everything was. I came back here and I fell in love again. I'm just like, man, I'm in an awesome place, and I love it. I love it out here. And like you said, you guys are introducing me to new stuff. Hopefully this will introduce me to even more new things around the Catskills, and we'll all, get together and come together, and we'll all be a bunch of good friends, and we'll be like, hey, check out my guys' RevSpirits, or, hey, check out this, check out that. We'll all become one branch.
Sounds good.
Well, my son's got a little bit of your wanderlust in his boots. I've just been checking his text. He's down in Alabama. They just saw their first snow in years, and he just got into the arena for the Alabama Auburn basketball game tonight. So I don't know if he's ever going to come back up north, but like you, he wanted to get someplace warm, and he's loving every minute of it. But we love when he's home.
Yeah, I definitely love it up here. So excellent. Shout outs from me. Thank you to everyone who is hiking and doing it safe. Hiking with spikes, hiking with snowshoes, hiking with extra layers and stuff like that. Not giving the Rangers a tough time, or me and my search and rescue squad a tough time. I mean, I'd like to get out there and save someone's life sometime, but you know what? I'd rather have someone not in that threat. So thank you to all the hikers out there for, spreading the knowledge and spreading the word of safety. So thank our sponsor, Scenic Route Guiding. It's funny because I usually do this before thing, but I made like a little snippet that I put in there. It's going to be hilarious. I asked her if Sarah Bacon, she's my sponsor. And if anybody else wants to sponsor, by all means, I don't mind. It's all going to go back to Catskills, by the way. But I made a little snippet and I asked her, I'm just like, is this too unprofessional? And she's just like, unprofessional is my middle name. I'm like, yes. I'm just like,
we like her already.
Yeah, she is. She's hilarious. We talk about mountain lions all the time, and I don't know what your guys' perspective on mountain lions are in the Catskills, but
I heard the one with the corkscrew.
Yeah, right. It works. It works. I've had to shield myself off from a pride of mountain lions. So, but her and I get going about that stuff, and it's hilarious because this is people say, they see a mountain lion and stuff like that, yet the thousands and thousands and thousands of trail cameras can't get one good picture of a mountain lion. So, amazing. But excellent. Thank once again Scenic Route Guiding for sponsoring us. Thank the donors, monthly donors. Thank any donors as well. Thank you very much. My wife made a good point that I was thinking about doing a certain amount, but to donate at one time. But I'm thinking I'm going to go a whole year of when I started in August. I'm going to take all those donations and then I'm going to donate to a local organization in the Catskills. So we'll see. Thank everyone who is listening. Thank those 4,000 people that have listened to my podcast, which is insane. I can't believe that has happened. Subscribe on any platform. Look me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Look up RevSpirits on Facebook, Instagram. I don't know if you guys have a Twitter.
Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, Facebook and Instagram. Check out their website as well. I'm going to get as many links as I can to put in the notes of the podcast to link you up with different places that you can buy this stuff. RevSpirits, once again. Shoot me a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever. I don't care what you do. Just I'm glad you're listening. Once again, thank Bill, Phil, and Carl for joining me tonight. I had a great time and I learned a lot, and I can't wait to try your other stuff.
Thank you so much, Stosh.
Thanks. Great seeing you again, Stosh.
It's great seeing you guys. Have a great night.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.